Hi guys. Okay, so I don't know where the rest of the judges are right now, but I want to do like sorry. Oh, sorry Tiffany. Sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. Um so hi guys. So I think the way we should start doing this is like you guys should put like in your profile name, put like the entry code, the name of you guys. That way we can it's not as confusing because there's going to be a lot of people on this. And I don't mind taking like a fast attendance thing right before the round starts. And I don't mind taking time too. I'll take time for this round. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so oh, I think we have 4 out of the 5 judges here for this round. And I think right now we have Will Flowers and Jim. I'm so sorry, Jim Memma. Yeah, he slipped. Yeah, they're here today. And then we have Ethan Hill and Lucas Ciscato. And then Sam Zulula. If you guys don't mind changing. Oh, okay, got it. You guys got it. Okay, Kale Brewers and Evelyn Silliman. Okay, and I'm just gonna mark you guys down here for my sake, so that way you guys know you guys are here. So we have 3 out of the 6 people here. One of them is double entered. Um, and yeah, I'm just gonna wait, give it till like 10, 10:55, 10:56-ish. That way we can get this round started and get out of here as fast as we can. Yeah, Ethan Hill, yeah, Ethan Hill and Lucas Cole. Yeah, you guys can go first. Let me mark it down. Is there any other competitor that like needs to go first besides yeah, anybody just like use like a visual like thing that way I can get it. Okay, I'm gonna take the silence as no, and that Ethan Hill and Lucas will go first, so that way he doesn't get fired from his job. Okay, cool. Hi, Fifth Judge. Hi, Chris, Scott.
Hey,
Hi.
how you doing?
Hi. Good. I'm doing good. So I'll help take attendance, like who's here, who's not here before the round starts, and I'll help be taking time for like how long the piece is stuff, and I'll help moderate this round.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. I'm gonna ask all the competitors if they could put in the title and author of their piece. That way it can make it easier for us judges. Okay. Okay. So now we have all five of the just the five right now because one of them is double entered. All our judges, you guys want to turn on your cameras. You don't have to turn on your cameras, but just like at least in the chat, like thumbs up if you want to. You don't have to. Um, Hi guys, congrats first of all to making it to the finals of Duo Interp in the TOC. Congrats guys, yay! Okay, we're first gonna start off with Ethan Hill and Lucas Ciscato. And for the judges, I'll say their piece right here. Their piece is entitled Hello Herman by John Mailer. And whenever you guys are ready, and if you guys want time signals or like anything like, you know, techie or anything for it, just let's go.
Hi, can you hear us and see us all right?
I can, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need any time signals. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Judges, just giving them a thumbs up whenever you're ready, and we'll get this round started.
Perfect. 43 students, 2 teachers, and 1 police officer were shot.
Herman Howard is not a common criminal. He is a terrorist, pure and simple.
Tragic loss of their children.
Something like this.
Worst high school massacre in the history of America. While there remains no clear motives for the killings, what has become very clear is that today's teenage culture is rampant with violence. Believe it or not, Lax Morales plans to broadcast an interview with this criminal.
I want to tell my story on your show.
You're watching Chet Chat, and we'll be right back. Currently, our attention is focused on the pandemic. However, since the 1990s, a more menacing epidemic has spread nationally: school shootings.
This school year, at least 26 guns were found in our school district alone, and more than 292,000 students nationwide have experienced gun violence at school since Columbine in 1999.
Herman Howard's story further exposes this epidemic. After massacring 42 people at his high school, he's interviewed by journalist Lax Morales, who tries to understand what went through Herman's mind on that fateful day.
This story makes one thing clear. If America does not make changes soon, whether that means stricter gun control or more mental health resources, Herman's story won't be an exception.
It will become the standard. Hello, Herman by John Mailer. Herman, I'm Lax Morales.
How much money do I get talking to you?
You don't get anything. Any money goes to the families of the victims. I'm not here to make you look like some tragic hero. Now, would you have ever thought to do what you did if Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold hadn't done it first in Colorado? Do you look at them as heroes?
Yeah, because after Columbine, nerds started getting respect. Now that I've hit the scenes, they'll be running the schools.
So you feel like you're part of a revolution?
You'll see. All over the country, kids are going to start doing what I did until you all finally realize that we're here.
How do you think your mother would have felt if you had been killed?
At this point, she'd probably be relieved.
And what about your father?
He lives in Chicago with his new wife.
When you were 11, your sister was hurt in a hit and run, right?
Stop.
Then she died a few
Shut
days
up.
later. Were you too
Shut
close?
up! Shut up! Jesus, why are you asking all these stupid questions? You know, I thought you were some sort of hotshot reporter.
Okay, let's cut to it. Tell me about the day you did it. You rounded up all the kids in the gym. Then what happened?
Well, then I went to my locker and I got out the gun. I fired a couple shots into the ceiling. The kids didn't know what the hell was going on. But they heard the shots. And then I called up Paul Schruber, captain of the football team. Today's your lucky day, Paul, because you are so valuable to this school. You get to live. Now get the hell out of my gym, Paul. You know, I shot him in the head. Just wanted to make him shut up.
Did you ever think of their parents or loved ones when you were shooting them?
No.
Did you get picked on a lot at school, Herman?
All the time. You know, the jocks would call me names, you know, yank my underwear up my ass, push me around, shit like that.
And what's the worst thing that ever happened to you? Yo, Herman! Spare some change.
Just leave me alone.
Just leave you alone. Not today. And this was Michael Ray.
Yeah, Michael Ray. Spare some change. I'm the one asking the questions now.
Herman.
Not fast enough.
What went through your mind when you pulled the trigger?
I thought there'd be more blood.
Why did you shoot him?
He was a dick.
Do you think he deserved to die just because he was a dick?
Look, everyone dies whether I think they deserve to or not.
Do you have no remorse? God.
You know, I didn't want to kill Mr. Phelps because he was an all right teacher.
What the devil do you think you're doing? Prince Nelson, is that what you've done? Herman, I'm so sorry. You know, when I was your age, the older boys, they would treat me the same way. And when you get older, these kids, they become like best friends.
Mr. Phelps, can I please go?
Yes, of course. Poor kid.
I mean, at least he gave a shit.
It sounds like you liked him. Why did you shoot him?
Because he got in my way.
Herman, please. There's still time.
Mr. Phelps,
Just stop this madness. Herman, please just stop this madness. Herman, there's still time. Please. Herman, please just stop this madness.
Mr. Phelps, shut up! I had to shoot. He would have grabbed me if I didn't.
What happened next?
Well, then the police came to the door and all the kids began to scream. The police ran in to the gym. The kids ran out of the gym. And I was just running around shooting people left and right. It was anarchy.
Well, I hope it was worth it.
People needed a lesson.
What did they learn, Herman?
Maybe they learned to be a little nicer to each other. I mean, there's no way in hell those people weren't going to get what they deserve.
Do you think anyone is going to care about you in 2 months? You're just going to be a footnote, listed amongst other forgotten footnotes.
Google me in 20 years, Lax. Then we'll see who's right.
If you're old enough to plan and carry out a massacre of 42 people, you're old enough to know what kind of person it takes to do something like that.
Yeah, what kind of person, Lax?
Evil, Herman! Evil. Do you feel bad about any of what you did?
Between you and me?
Turn the camera off. You happy?
I'm scared. I don't want to die. Sometimes I wish I could take it back. But I guess I can't.
No, Herman, you can't. I have all I need. The verdict came in today on the people versus Herman Howards. Howards will be the first miner executed in the state of Iowa. If you're just tuning in, this execution will be the first broadcast ever and has already become the highest viewed event in television history.
Please, I'm sorry.
Herman Howards, you are about to be executed by the means of the electric chair for the crimes that you have committed. Do you have any final words? A lot of people seem to think that the question is, what the hell do we do with these kids? But they're wrong. The question is, what the hell do these kids do with us?
You may not like me, but one thing's for sure.
We're giving them a fast food, short-term, downsized, techno-driven world. It's cold, and they can't make any sense of it.
You will never, ever forget me.
So kids, log out, go outside, and take a breath for a moment.
Goodbye, America. And good luck.
Because tonight, we are going to explore what happens when you disregard the value of life.
Good job, guys. Sorry. Judges, take your time on writing notes. Just give me a thumbs up or anything if you guys want. Whenever you guys are ready for the next one. You guys are free to go, Ethan, Hill, and you guys are good. Please don't get fired from your job. Okay.
I'm ready when everyone else is.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, and the time for that was 10:06. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. 10:06 for that time. All right. All right. We're gonna start back up. We're gonna go with Kennedy Hackjulan and Sophie Simon.
Hi, can you guys see and hear us okay?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, and we don't need any time signals.
All right. And one more time for the judges, the title of their piece is Nosedive by Michael Schur and Rashida Jones. Just judges, if you guys are ready, if you guys need any help, just, yeah. I'm just giving a thumbs up that way we're ready, but yeah.
Thank you. Have a good day. So now we move into the light space area, ideal for special times with loved ones. There's a bar and restaurant on site, standard occupancy on a minimum 6-month contract. We're talking this much. How often are the payments? Oh, well, there's options. You know our Prime Influencers program? Oh, do I qualify for that? No, you don't. We need you around a 4.5. Hit 4.5, and there's a 20% off discount.
4.5. Thank you.
Have a good day.
Well, you're not hopeless. There's a ways to go, but a 4.5 is certainly achievable.
How long do you think?
Well, barring a major setback, a public disgrace kind of deal, I'd say 18 months or so.
Oh, I need more short term, like much more.
Then you'll need a boost. You could use a punch up from quality people.
Quality people?
High fours. Impress those upscale folks, and there's your boost. I'll start you right now. Can I just say, I am so happy to see your face.
Me too. It's been
Too long. Oh my God. When you posted that Mr. Rags photo.
I know, Mr. Rags.
I just had to come and talk to you because.
Whoa, that is a big ring. Congratulations. Who's the Paul?
Oh, he's great. So sweet. So we're getting married in a month on his family's estate. Cute. In Port Mary.
Oh.
And I was wondering if, Lace, would you be my maid of honor?
Really? I mean, you got such cool friends now. What do I have
Not
to?
much to it. A speech mainly.
Speech, of course. How big's the crowd?
Oh my gosh, like hundreds. It's a crazy guest list. Paul's invited so many. I don't want to call them big deals, but they're all like 4.7 or above.
Nene, I will not let you down.
Last year, former Facebook executive Frances Haugen let Congress in on a secret.
That large social media companies have long understood the damaging mental health effects their platforms have in young girls.
One internal report said that in its current format, Instagram pressures us to share only our best moments and to look perfect, which exacerbates depression, low self-esteem, and eating disorders.
A transatlantic study found that 40% of young girls have reported feeling unattractive,
25% feeling not good enough,
and 13% of young girls have traced their suicidal thoughts back to Instagram.
Lacey lives in a world ruled by social media.
Where people rate each other on a scale of 1 to 5 stars for every interaction they have.
Her story is a cautionary one. If we don't disconnect and hold social media companies accountable, then
This is our future.
Nosedive.
By Michael Shore and Rashida Jones.
Hey, Lace. So the latest draft of the speech is great. Going handwritten, so cool.
Oh, thank you.
Just one thought.
Yeah.
That whole bit where I help you out with the eating disorder thing.
Oh, you think that's a
A
little?
little oversharing, yeah.
You're so right, it's gone.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll see you soon.
Okay, great.
I am so sorry. That flight is canceled.
No. I booked this weeks ago. It's my best friend's wedding.
Okay, let me see what I can do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, I see there's one standby seat on another plane leaving tonight. Oh, that's reserved for members of our Prime Flight program. You gotta be a 4.2 or over to qualify.
Oh, I'm a 4.2.
I'm afraid you're actually a 4.183.
But it's so close.
There's just nothing I can do. Next.
Can you call the supervisor?
I cannot do that.
Can you just please call the supervisor?
I cannot do that.
Just call the damn
Whoa,
supervisor.
okay, that is profanity. We are zero tolerance on profanity. I have called security.
What? No, please don't do that. I'm 5-starring you. Shh, 5 stars. Oh! Airport security docks you 1 full ranking point as a punitive measure.
This is a temporary measure.
Your score reverts back to normal in 24 hours.
During this period, all down votes are subject to a ×2 multiplier.
We recommend you avoid negative feedback at this time. Remove yourself from the airport immediately.
Please.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Hey, Lace, how far away are you?
I missed my flight.
What?
It's okay. I got a car. I'm driving.
Driving, that's like 9
I'm gonna go
hours.
through the night and make a road trip out of it.
Is everything okay? I can call a replacement if
No, no,
something's
no.
wrong.
Everything's fine. I swear we'll be there. I swear on Mr. Rags.
Okay, just.
What? No. 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 Shit. Just as close as you can get me to Port Mary would be great.
Well, la-dee-da, what happened to you? I mean, you're a 2.6, but you don't look 2.6.
It's not. I got marked down at the airport for yelling, and they put me on double damage.
How'd it feel?
Awful.
I meant the yelling.
Sorry, I have to get that. Hey, so crazy night, but I'm so close now.
Don't come.
What? No, I'm like an hour away.
Don't come. I don't know what is up with you, but I cannot have a 2.6 at my
Oh,
wedding.
no. That's temporary.
The wedding's today.
Well,
so-
I can still do the same speech. You said you wanted your oldest man.
Lacey, when I asked you to speak, you were a 4.2. Okay? And the authenticity of a vintage Bond low 4 at a gathering of this caliber played fantastically on all the simulations we ran. Forecast was a prestige bounce of 2. Minimum. But now, you're a sub 3. Sorry, it plays badly for us.
So it was just about numbers for you.
It was about numbers for both of us. You wanted those primo votes, don't deny it. It's not like you could get them on your own, let's not kid ourselves.
Oh, I'm getting those votes.
What, you're just gonna roll up here and make people like you?
You bet. I'm doing my speech.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. And they're gonna vote me through the roof when they hear it and wave their eyes out.
Go home. Do you, Naomi Jane Blestow, take this man to be your husband, to live together with him in the covenant of marriage, to love him, comfort him, honor, and keep him?
Hello, everybody. Hi. Now, for those of you who don't know me, which is all of you, my name is Lacey Pound, and believe it or not, I am one of Naomi's oldest friends. Hi, Nay. We really made quite the pair. You know, we talk about all the things girls talk about, you know, boys, hair, products, more boys. You know, I always looked up to Naomi pretty much my entire life. Which meant she was always looking down on me. Always with a smile, though. Thank you for that, Naomi. You know, I always wished I was you, and I guess that's why you kept me around so long, until you got your new job and your fancy new friends. The little girl who was just 5 years old at art camp, who started talking to me because she saw I was scared. The little girl who let me make Mr. Rags. I love you, Naomi. I've always loved you. I love you.
Lace? You're a 1.1. Get rid of her.
Sorry.
Good job, guys.
All right, judges, leave your comments or anything. Good job, you guys. Yeah. Oh, and the time of that is 10:25. I'm sorry. All right, thank you, Christopher. All right, thank you. Harry's good. Kellen's good. All right, I think all of us judges are good. Yeah, awesome. Oh, sorry, I was just making sure. Okay, awesome. So next up we have Kale Brewers and Evelyn Silliman, if you guys don't mind. Hello.
Hi. So we're currently at our school, and the dismissal bell is gonna ring during our round. So just to let you guys know, it's just not to put anybody off, while we're performing.
All good. You're all good. And then for the judges, let's say their title one more time. It's A Very Common Procedure by Courtney Barron. And then I'm guessing you guys don't want any time signals, right? All
Thank
good with
you.
that? Awesome. I'll be aware about the dismissal thing. I won't be freaked out, but you guys are all good. All right. When judges are ready, thumbs up. I'm all good. Yep. Okay.
Honey, I'm home.
Hey, babe.
What's that smell?
I'm cooking.
Really? You don't cook.
I do tonight.
What are you cooking?
Your favorite food.
And what's the occasion?
Carolyn, does a husband need an occasion to woo his wife?
You're wooing me? You should have cooked for me when we first met. You know ladies love that.
Well, I had to catch you before I could poison you.
I'm pregnant.
What?
I'm sure too. Gone to doctor, taken the test. So?
I'm shocked.
Well, you can't be too shocked, Michael. Be proud. You've got swimmers. So, are you happy?
Am I happy?
Yes, Michael. Are you happy that we're pregnant?
I'm pregnant?
We're gonna have a baby.
We're gonna have a baby.
The symbolic interaction theory suggests that individuals assign meanings to the various symbols that represent our social lives.
Responsibilities that accompany parenthood, such as children and the expectation of fidelity, are often seen as self-sacrificial symbols.
However, when a person feels forced to sacrifice who they are to maintain these obligations, an internal battle of love and self-fulfillment can occur.
Thomas Paine once said, "It's necessary for the happiness of humankind that they stay mentally faithful to themselves."
A Very Common Procedure by Courtney Barron.
We're finishing up building the crib and we started talking, arguing about baby names.
Angelica. Samantha?
No.
Madeline?
She's not a damn cookie, Carolyn. But the real fight was over the name Virginia.
It sounded like vagina.
But the real fight was over the name Virginia.
I don't like it. We should name her baby.
So we named her baby.
I figured a name could wait. I guess we just have to look into her little baby eyes and know what she's called then.
And on the topic of names, I asked Carolyn to call me Daddy, just to try things out.
I am not calling you Daddy.
Fine.
Ugh.
Oh,
What?
parents.
Ugh. So we decide to call for a meeting of the families. We decide to do over brunch because brunch seemed like a good time to talk about pregnancy. I think we both just thought that dinner seemed.
Too adult.
Did we really?
Yeah.
So we meet for eggs. Now it's the egg, but Michael and I both had our pancakes.
But before we can even make it the brunch, we make the egg joke. But it really didn't seem too cute to eat eggs once we got there.
Actually, throughout my whole pregnancy, I couldn't even eat eggs.
And I can't eat sperm.
Charming.
Excuse me.
So we were sitting at brunch, and my mother had Rusty set of plaid Burberry sippy cups.
Oh God.
And she had made the comment to me how no baby should be without style. And then later, after her second Bloody Mary, mother loves brunch.
Ugh.
She picked up all the sippy cups and said, "Wouldn't these make great flasks? Secret to motherhood, let me tell you."
Before we even made it to the subway, we turned to each other and say, "We're not letting our parents anywhere near the baby."
Your mom would set up a PlayStation of knives, a hot stove.
Oh yeah? Well, your mom would spike the bottles filled with bourbon. Listen, Carolyn. Let's just agree not to leave our child in the exclusive stead of our parents.
We're gonna be good at this. I can tell.
God, I love you.
It was a sunny Friday in October, and I'm 8 months pregnant. Now, I'm not going to say that pregnancy was blissful, but it was good. Tired and fat, but good. I was walking down the street on my way to mommy to be yoga class when I felt this trickle. Followed by a swoosh. So I pick up my phone and I call Michael.
Hey, babe.
I'm wet.
What?
I think my water broke.
Maybe you just said something.
No, Michael, I felt it come out of me.
No, it's not time yet.
I know.
I can leave work. You need me to come to you?
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
You're right. You'll be fine.
I know.
You will.
I know. I'll call you.
Okay. I love you, Carolyn.
I love you too, Michael.
It's 3 hours later and we're in the delivery room. Our baby girl was born.
She was so small.
She was so small, like a peanut.
She was a peanut. But then the doctor comes in and tells us that there were complications. That they're taking our newborn daughter to get an MRI. And I feel sick.
It's a very common procedure. The doctor said.
But we're hopeful that your baby girl
Will be fine. Old people die. That's natural. That's what I'd always thought. But when our baby girl died, I wasn't just sad or upset or angry. I was honestly perplexed because Because babies don't die. And when they do, it'll be the worst thing to ever happen to you. You can't be there to give them all you can. You can't be there while they slip away in your arms, knowing that they're loved. You can't do anything. You can't be a father. It's a very common procedure. The doctor said, but we're sorry, your baby's died in the operating room.
It's been a month. And Michael's cleared the apartment of baby things.
It's been a month and I miss my wife.
I don't need to be comforted.
Then what do you need, Carolyn?
Our baby?
Then let's have another baby.
Not another baby.
I hate it when you.
I hate this apartment.
Then let's move.
I don't want to.
Carolyn, do you have any idea what you're being like?
Yes.
Then stop.
Excuse me?
Carolyn, this happened to me too.
This happened to you? Don't touch me! Don't ever touch me again! I want you the hell out!
You don't mean that, Carolyn. This isn't you.
We didn't even get to give her a name. I should have done it better.
Don't say
I
that.
shouldn't have walked around so much.
I should have been there for
I should
you.
have been more careful.
Carolyn, I need you.
Michael, our baby
I
died.
know.
We are parents of a dead baby.
That's not the only thing we are.
Then what else are we? Michael, I can't love you anymore.
You don't mean that, Carolyn.
You're right. I don't.
Come on. How long has it taken us to build this life? What, 5 years? And it's all unraveled in a month. Like, how important are babies? Carolyn, I'm your husband.
I guess I should be comforted by the fact that this will be the worst thing that will ever happen to me.
Carolyn.
But Michael, I can't do this anymore.
Carolyn, please.
I'm sorry.
Me too. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. It's just so awkward. Good job, you guys. Yeah, go ahead, judges, write down what you want. Again, thumbs up if you guys are ready to move on. And also the time on that was 10:40.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Sherry, you're all good. Awesome. Okay, we are all ready to go. All right. Next up is Will Flowers and Jamina Heaslip. I'm sorry if I mispronounce it again. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Can you see and hear us okay?
Yeah, I can see and hear you guys very well.
Okay.
Any time signals for you guys? Oh.
Strip the cities of brick, dismantle them, strip out the wires and cover the land with grass, force chrome and aluminum back into the earth, cancel all flights from the international airport, and people the sky with angels, erase the Saturday car park from the marketplace, rub out the white lines, shatter the printing press, make each new book a precious object, written on skin. The woman was married, age 14, can't write, not taught to read, gray-eyed, intelligent, no children.
The man is her husband and protector, calm, addicted to purity and violence.
And the boy?
The boy works with azurite and gold. He is faultless.
Make me a book, fill it with illumination, paint me the life to come, paint deeds of angels, show me graves opening, the damned shoveled into ovens, and the just, us, my family, the pure and the just, show us in our rightful place, show us in paradise.
A book costs money. A book needs long days of life.
I'll give you money, I'll give you light.
The story of a woman who was belittled by the men in her life. The 2012 opera,
Written on Skin, retells the medieval
man,
his wife,
and the boy.
When the boy is commissioned by the man to write a book about his family,
He develops a relationship with the man's wife.
as the story begins to unravel,
The man forces the woman to do the unspeakable, and the boy abandons her to her fate.
the anguish that is forced against the woman exposes the
Darkness that is written
written
on
on
skin,
skin.
with score by George Benjamin and text by Martin Crimp. What do you want?
to see,
See what?
to see how a book is made. Who is the woman?
Eve, I invented it.
She doesn't look real. That's not how a woman looks.
You're in my line.
Oh?
Too close to the page. You're in my line.
What else can you invent? Can you invent another woman? Not this, but a woman who's real, a woman who can't sleep, a woman who turns her white pillow over and over from the hot side to the cold side until the cold side's hot. Can you invent that? And if the woman said?
The woman said what?
Said. What if the woman said that she couldn't sleep? Who said that her heart split and it shook? Who said that her gray eyes at a sight of a boy turned black with love?
What boy?
You can decide what boy.
What love?
You can decide what love. Invent her. Invent the woman you want, and when you've invented and painted that exact woman, come to me, and I'll tell you.
My wife has changed. Won't eat, won't speak to me. Turns away from me into bed. Pretends to be sleeping, but all night. I hear her eyelashes scrape the pillow. Click, click, like an insect.
What do you want?
To show you a page.
What page?
Yeah.
It's stark.
Then concentrate. This shows a house in winter. Inside the woman, see her, unable to sleep, her head buried in her hot white pillow. She feels heavy, like stone. This is the woman's picture now. You must tell me whether it's real.
It's dark.
Then concentrate. What color are her eyes?
Gray, turning black like my eyes now.
And her mind.
You've given her my mind, mouth, voice drawn its exact music.
And here, under the bone,
No.
in the hot space between her ribs,
No.
I've painted the woman's heart.
No! Not the woman. I'm Agnes. My name is Agnes.
Agnes.
I'm here by the window. You're threshing your sleep. Why?
What is it you're watching?
Nothing. Touch me. Kiss me. Take my head in your hands.
Don't be a child.
Grip my hair in your fist. Yes! Child.
No pure woman asked to be touched. You are a child, Agnes. Say it.
I refuse to be called a child.
You're a child. Say it.
No.
You will say to me, I am a child. Say, I am a child, Agnes.
What is it you're looking at?
Nothing.
Thinking about? Let him see. Show him us.
Show him us how.
Make a new page. Push our love into that man's eye like a hot needle. Blind him with it. Make him cry blood.
Here are your enemies, lined up on a gibbet.
Hanging excellent like Judas. Now show me paradise.
These naked boys have dug their own graves. They're waiting in an orchard to be shot.
And what are these streaks of light?
A night bombardment. Gomorrah, see it being turned to dust.
Yes, I see it.
A carmine flame licking a
I
field.
said now show me paradise.
Paradise, but this is paradise. Here is your mill, and here are your cherry trees. These are its concrete walls, and here were the diamond.
Then where is hell?
Here, it's on a secret page.
Where are the pictures?
They're here. I've painted them with words.
What words?
Read them.
Read? How can a woman read? What words? What use to a woman is a word?
The book is finished. My work is done. Mouth. Heart, hair, mouth, hand, nails, skin, blood, her neck. Writes the boy of amethyst, her long white back, even the gold-flecked iris of her eye. Each part of her body she has offered and has used for her own pleasure. This is what the woman, what Agnes, what your wife, your property asks me to say to you.
Read it. Oh, read it again.
Keep away.
And show me. Please show me.
Keep away.
I want to see.
Cover your arms. Cover your face and hair. Stitch out your lips before your pink flicking tongue snakes into my mouth the way it burrowed into his.
Oh, please show me the word for love. Confront the boy. Take his hair in your fist. Pull his head back for a kiss. And as you are cutting one long, clean incision through the bone, examine your own portrait in the glass black mirror of his eyes.
What has he placed in front of her?
A silver dish.
And what does the woman do now?
I am not the woman. I am Agnes.
I said, what does the woman do now?
Eats.
Good. Say it.
The woman eats.
What makes the woman eat?
Hunger, appetite, her curiosity.
No. Her obedience? Her obedience? Say it. I said to you.
Her obedience now makes her eat.
That is correct. Her obedience to her husband now makes her eat. How does it taste?
Protector given me to eat.
His heart, Agnes.
What heart?
His heart, the boy, his...
What
his
heart?
His heart, the boy, his heart.
No, nothing! Nothing I eat, nothing I drink will ever take the taste of that boy's heart out of this mouth. No force you use! Nothing you forbid can erase the picture that boy's hands draw on its skin. Crush, burn, break, tear, pull out my eyes, hang, drown, stone, stab, cut out my tongue. Nothing will ever take the taste of that boy's heart out of this mouth.
This shows the woman falling. See how her body has dropped from the balcony, her black silhouette on blue.
As she drops from the house, 3 small angels are watching her calmly from the margin. In their face, in their eyes, see their cold fascination with human disaster.
as they turn from the falling woman to where the white lines of the Saturday car park cover the heaped up dead.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great job, guys.
Good job, you guys. Go ahead, judges. To write your notes or comments. The time on that was 10:09. And again, thumbs up when you guys are ready to move on. All right, I think we're all ready to move on. Next up, we have Kiana McEwen and Zachary Randall's. Apologies for like the mispronunciation. I'm sorry, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Can you see and hear us okay?
Yep.
All right, and then all our judges are ready?
Yep.
Okay. Hello, I'm here. Aunt Iris, I love what you're doing with your hair. Oh my God, I know. Doesn't Molly just look beautiful? How are you?
Lillian.
Dan! I need a drink.
Congratulations. Our daughter Molly looks beautiful.
Thanks.
So, how are you?
Fabulous. You?
Never better.
Good. I'm glad you can at least be civil for our daughter's wedding.
This is not the time or place for anything else.
For once, we agree. What are you doing in Armani? Knock over a truck?
It's called Prosperity. Keep Under the Grass went into its third printing.
Oh? What's that?
One of my books, Lillian.
Oh, I wouldn't know. I've been out of the country.
Tax problems?
Shooting a film.
Oh, you still do that?
You know perfectly well I still do that. You've got more hair.
Lillian, don't do this. I've laid off your hair, all right?
Well, that's because my hair is perfect.
If you want to look like a madam in a saloon in Tombstone.
Oh, a metaphor. Aren't we literary?
I cannot believe that you're still threatened by people who write books.
My husband writes books, and he doesn't threaten me at all.
The Tao of Divorce? Is he kidding?
That book has saved thousands of marriages.
Like ours?
Ours is beyond saving.
We're coming up on one of the most popular seasons in America, wedding season.
However, according to the January 28th, 2021 Legal Jobs Report, the United States sees about 250,000 divorces each year.
And while some marriages are unsalvageable,
other connections, for better or for worse, last a lifetime.
Dan and Lilia are a couple who have been divorced for years.
When their daughter, Molly, gets married, she invites them both to the wedding,
where they will be forced to re-examine themselves and their past relationships in
That Old Feeling
by Leslie Dixon. Ours was beyond saving? When the man that's supposed to fix my marriage of 14 years tells me we really need to talk, and then his feeling said he can make my wife a lot happier than I can, and I'm paying the guy to hear this?
Bullshit! You bounce the check! Look how pathetically jealous you are of Alan just because he's a national phenomenon. You know, at least I had the maturity not to marry a bauble.
Rowena is not a bauble. She's a top interior designer.
Oh, come on! She made her apartment look like a Greek whorehouse. And you said you liked it. That's when I knew.
I wouldn't have touched her if you hadn't thrown yourself all over Dr. Feelgood first.
First, I first. I was the faithful one.
Oh, you were faithful, all right. Like our Kennedy's faithful.
And boy, am I sorry now. Do you know who I could have slept with? I could have had the entire Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I turned down a Beatle for you.
Oh, yeah? Well, I remember Ringo was on a bender there for a while.
You mother... He started it.
Molly. Oh, come on. She started it. It's rabies. She needs shots.
You can't tell us to take it outside.
We are outside.
That's stunningly obvious.
What? You've been married 2 whole minutes?
They think they know everything.
Molly.
Look what you did.
Oh, and you behaved yourself?
I was totally and completely civil.
You wrecked Molly's wedding.
You wrecked it by showing up.
What? So you think you should have given her away then, huh? God knows you have the balls for it.
Oh, you son of a...
Whistle for your broomstick. Maybe they'll come get ya.
Ah, scissors! I knew you had a scalp lift, you vain son of a bitch.
Ugh. Picked up a few pounds, huh, fatty?
Put me down! Put me down! You are so...
Oh, God.
This is sick.
My worst nightmare.
Stop. Stop. Where's your car?
Why'd we do that?
Why else? Alcohol.
Hey, I guess it was just some old itch lurking around. It just sort of popped up.
That is not funny. We just committed adultery.
I know we committed adultery.
Keep it down.
Come on. They won't. It's unthinkable.
Goodbye, Dan.
Wait. I'm curious about something.
What?
So what does this mean now? Are we speaking?
Apparently.
Good. Because I need to talk to you about something.
Talk?
Hey, I think it's a fitting end for such a sinister encounter.
You call sexual attraction to me sinister?
Calamitous.
So, what should we do?
Well, could we avoid reality?
There's no avoiding it. We could postpone it. Drinks? Oh, I know, Aunt Iris. Isn't it just adulteress? So, Danny, what did you miss about me?
Absolutely nothing.
Oh, come on.
Well, there was your singing at 2 a.m. in the bathtub with a glass of champagne.
Is that why you stabbed your actress in the throat 27 times?
You read my book?
I suppose you didn't sneak off to the movies to see me once or twice.
You know how many times I lied to Rowena so I could see you? You've had a great run.
But that bitch Streep always wins.
You know, I don't think a day has gone by where I haven't missed you.
Oh, God.
What?
They want the bride's parents.
The bride's parents? Why?
To dance. All right, let us love birds, show them how it's done. Dan? Dan?
You want to be totally irresponsible, don't you?
Totally.
But I do think we owe Alan and Rowena something.
Alan and Rowena? Why? You went straight to Fiji with Rowena and never came back.
Well, that was after I found Alan luxuriating in my bathrobe.
I beg your pardon? It was after I found one of Rowena's bright red hairs in my bed. The bitch has like a sheepdog. You could have at least left a freaking note.
Oh, this is stupid.
Oh yes, I'm stupid. I'm stupid for letting you drag me back into this.
Drag you? You were nymphomaniacal. You need shots.
You were the aggressor. You want to destroy my marriage.
All in a day's drama. You're so hard-boiled.
Oh, I'd like to hard-boil your balls.
Oh, you want to talk about this, huh, darling? Because I'm not the one who told Joan Rivers on national television that I finally found a real man in my life. You think maybe you could have served me the papers before you did that?
Oh, and you don't think it would have been utterly fabulous if you had asked me for the divorce before Rowena printed the invitation?
I told you I had nothing to do with that.
You went through with this?
So did you.
You want to go back to her, don't you?
Look, let's just get through this dance, go home, and forget all this ever happened.
Agreed.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself after this song is over.
Oh God, I feel the same way.
I still love you.
Goodbye, Dan.
Goodbye, Lily.
Yay! All right, good job, you guys.
Thank you.
Good
Yeah.
job, guys.
All right. Good job, guys. Time on that, judges, was 10:23. You guys go ahead, do your comments. Let me know if you guys are done. Oh yeah, I saw. Sorry, I'm sorry. All right, thank you. Thank you. We're waiting on one more. All right, we're all set. Is both Canalejo, is that how you say it, Canalejos here?
Yes, hi, we're here.
All right, Slay. All right. Did you guys put the title of your piece in here?
Let me go ahead and do that now. Sorry about that.
No, you're all good. You're all good.
There we go.
All right. Any time signals, any technical you guys want us to know or anything?
We're all good. Thank you.
All good? All right. We are judges. We're all ready. And whenever you guys are ready.
Thanks.
She's so cute. Oh my God, she's beautiful. Look at her little finger.
She looks just like you.
You're glowing.
Over the moon. Everyone is so happy for me. And I know I should be too. I mean, I just had a baby. I guess that makes me
Mommy!
Oh,
Just
right.
checking your vitals, okay?
Okay.
Such a little sweetheart. I bet you just can't imagine life without her.
Can I ask you a question? Is it normal to feel distant from the baby?
Oh, would you like me to bring her closer to you, or
no.
you don't want to be closer to your baby?
No, I mean, I just feel a little off, like.
All right, well, are you sleeping?
I guess I'm not.
And your mood, what's your mood on a scale of 1 to 10?
What does that even mean?
Any physical changes?
Well, I just had a baby.
Are you planning to hurt her?
What?
Yes or no? We have to ask these questions whenever anyone's feeling the baby blues. But if you are planning to hurt her, we need to take immediate action to protect her. You know what? Please stay here.
What? No! I don't want to hurt my baby.
You have no idea how to take care of me.
What was that?
Being a mother has always been terrifying. And just like everything else, the pandemic has made raising a child even scarier. According to researchers at the Harvard School of Public Health, the number of women feeling symptoms of postpartum depression have significantly increased over the past couple of years. In fact, since the pandemic, symptoms of anxiety, depression, and loneliness for new mothers have increased by 31%. While new mothers have always faced the pressure to do a good job raising a human being, the ones giving birth today need our support now more than ever. Meet Joanna, who just had her first baby girl, and everything about being a new mother feels extremely monstrous. Through her story, we learn that sometimes all it takes for things to feel less scary is more support. Hush, Little Baby by Marina Templesman.
Drive for delivery.
Oh, Mom. I didn't know you had keys.
Oh, door was open. Oh, such a little sweetheart. It's Gammy. I love you.
Welcome home, honey. Thank you for the diapers. Changing table's not done yet. I know. I'm working on it. No, it's all right, honey. When you were a baby, we just slapped you on a mat and called it a day. You'll have it done by Friday. Why Friday? Nothing bad. Don't sound so alarmed. I was just planning a little, celebration for the baby. And you. Okay.
People watching, they'll see what I am.
But she's so new. If she were a boy, you'd be having a brace after 8 days. Well, not necessarily, Mom. Look, I'll do all the planning. All you have to do is show up, which should be easy because it will be at your house. Mom, I don't want to host a party. You're not hosting. I'll be hosting. Look, we'll do it in 2 weeks instead of 1, okay? So that everyone's happy. Happy? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna take the baby for a walk. It's good for her.
You think hard. Imagine what it will be like when I can finally run away from you.
Oh my God.
How old is she?
5 days. Oh my God, I can literally hear my ovaries screaming at me. Go, baby girl, I have a baby right now.
Don't. Well, so now you have to wait until you're ready, or else you won't be good at it. So,
do you have any idea how embarrassed you should be right now?
Okay, 8 a.m. woke up and fed 2 ounces. Back to bed by 10:30. 11 a.m. woke up.
Somebody's in here. Wow.
Oh, don't worry, honey. I got it. No, I'm already up. Oh, well, you really should just get some rest before the party tomorrow. Or what? I won't be presentable? No, look, I'm just saying you really just haven't been acting yourself lately. Gee, Mom, I wonder what's changed. Look, I know it's a change, but you've been completely isolating yourself and completely cutting. Okay, do you want to take over breastfeeding? No, that's not what I was. Stop trying to fix everything.
That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to go in there and fix things. And you know what? Tomorrow you can have this stupid party that you're so excited to have. So congratulations! I'm just trying to be a good mother. Me. There she is. You know what? You are going to eat, and I'm going to rest for this stupid party. You think rest is gonna help? If you feel this way about spending time with me, imagine what your friends will think. I won't let them see what you are. You think you can fool everyone? It's only a matter of time before they see the truth. Okay, I'm not going to let you make me miserable. Everything's different. It's not that different. You seriously believe that? Just look at yourself. You're a monster. I'm not a monster. You're a monster. Or maybe the real monster's the woman who can't bond with her baby. Stop. Maybe you're the reason you don't want to have the party. Maybe the nasty little thing you want to hide is me. Stop. Everything I am comes from you. Stop. So if I'm such a monster, then you just must be an innocent. Shut up. I can't be a good. Oh, this is interesting. What the? We'll go to the park.
Ma'am,
Yes.
this is the public area.
Oh, she's gotta eat, so.
Right, we all gotta eat, but you really could be doing that at home.
I'm just trying to be a good mother.
All right, Jesus, no need to get angry. Look, I'm just saying, there are kids in this park.
Kids in this park? What do you think?
What's
going on? Mike is playing over there and he's perfectly fine. So what's the problem?
Oh, ma'am, I'm just trying to.
No, it's a baby, you jackass.
Oh, ma'am, this does not concern you. I was talking to her.
No, you were talking to all of us. Can I sit here? Look, don't let him make you feel bad. I'm a monster. Honey, we're all monsters. Are you okay? Yes, it's fine. No, not her. You. Are you okay? No. Not really. I'm just trying to be a good mother. I feel really sad all the time. Really alone. You're not alone. We can be monsters together. What's her name? Olivia. It's a beautiful name. Thanks. Thank you.
Yep. Awesome job, you guys. All right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. One last time. It's the time when that was 9:45. Judges, competitors, good job, you guys. Yeah, good luck at the everything. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
for
much.
judging.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Hi, Chris. Seeing as I see that you're tech support, I just thought I would let you know. I don't know why, but I'm in this Zoom names. The name I have on my email and then obviously my name. So I don't know if that's a problem, but I'm obviously Tanya Mossberry, but obviously Courtney Reed is in the room and that's just the name on my email. So it looks like there's more people than there actually is, but yeah, I don't know why that's happening.
Hi, how are you? Hi, I should type in my question, right? Yep, all right, awesome. Is it okay if I tie myself? Yeah. Awesome. All right, so whenever everyone's ready, I can go. Okay, cool. As a Mets fan in New York, I am constantly forced to expect the unexpected. Whenever my team looks like they're about to win the World Series, they always have a bad month and miss the playoffs entirely. Now, obviously, the plight of being a Mets fan is quite similar to many other things globally. The most important one being someone in the Russian economy. Because even though this quick invasion of Ukraine by Russia was meant to be a day in and day out process of eliminating an entire sovereign nation, this war has gone on for well over 2 months. And realistically, the global sanctions put on Russia could not have possibly been anticipated by President Putin. So, when looking at the massive economic downturn that we've seen in Russia thus far, we just have to ask ourselves the question: what impact will Putin's military invasion of Ukraine have on Russia's economy? The answer to which is that it will completely devastate it for 3 separate reasons that I like to call the 3 Bs: banks, barrels, and brands. Now on to my first point, with the first B for today, about banks. How the global banking system has completely shut out the Russian state. Now, according to the CNBC in an article published just 2 days ago, the Western world put 2 prime economic sanctions on Russian banks. The first being completely barring Russia from the SWIFT banking system, making it impossible to convert currencies and therefore transfer global currencies and any global transactions. The second was by completely freezing all Russian foreign assets, making it impossible for the country to actually bail out its existing banks. They froze a total of 300 billion euro at least. So looking at these 2 massive sanctions put on Russia, it's quite clear that the actual money flowing through the nation is not doing so with its upright health. So when looking at the ways in which the global community has harmed Russia's banking system, we have to look at the inverse effects of it and how it directly spilled out into the Russian economy. As this exact same CNBC article continues on describing that the Russian ruble dropped in value by over 20% in just 1 week. Now, for comparison, United States inflation is looked at as disastrous if it's at about 8%, meaning that Russia's current rate of economic depreciation is 2 times as quick as what the United States looks at as historic downturn. So when looking at the ways in which Russia's economy is contracting, we also have to recognize how it's harming its own markets, which, according to the BBC in an article published on March 15th of this year, marked a 33% contraction of the Russian stock market in just a week of their own invasion, demonstrating that the total economic output of Russian markets went down about a third of its total size. The 5th worst contraction in global history, and even worse than what Russia saw during COVID. So clearly here, the banking system had a massive gut punch as a result of this invasion. But we also have to look to the main market that Russia was trying to use to recuperate from these losses, and move on to my second point: barrels, or barrels of oil, what Russia was trying to sell to make up for their economic losses. Because, according to Fox News in an article published just 2 days ago, right now, Russia's oil market is frozen by about 3 million barrels per day, because neither the United States or the European markets are trading with Russia the same way that they were before the invasion. Now, this is incredibly significant because this same article goes on to explain that as a result of this massive contraction, a market worth $321 billion in Russia is now completely frozen. Now, clearly here, a massive contraction in their banking systems and a total freeze of all of their oil reserves is likely going to demolish their economy far more than Putin could have possibly anticipated. As CNN describes in an article published just this morning, that both the United States and the European Union have found other sources of oil, looking to both Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. Now, clearly here, these two sources of extra oil have been catastrophic to the Russian economy, because now, not only are foreign nations not trading for Russian oil anymore, but now they don't have to in the future either. They have new and better allies that are easier to negotiate with and actually have better human rights issues than Russia does in Ukraine right now. So when looking at the ways in which the global market has moved away from Russian oil, and now it's able to comfortably stay that distance, we can clearly see that the banking system wasn't the only issue that the Russian economy had. Now they have basically nothing to fall back on. So looking at Russia's domestic markets, we also have to look at their international ones as well. And move on to my third and final point, or the final B for today, about brands. How international brands have completely abandoned Russia's economy. Now, according to the Washington Post and an article published just 4 days ago, almost every single international brand that was placed within Russia has since pulled out all of its services. Brands like Goldman Sachs, Ford, Starbucks, and PepsiCo have all completely eliminated their services within the Russian state. Now, this may not seem like a massive gut punch after bank failures and oil failures that exist domestically within Russia. But what this symbolizes is a massive lack of credit that the Russian market has internationally. Because, as this same article continues on describing, these pullouts were not as a result of actual reputation that these companies want to maintain. It was as a result of the fact that they no longer trust the Russian government to be able to convert proper funds to pay these brands. They no longer believe in Russian credit, and as a result of that, both brands and nations are no longer going to be able to lend Russia the same amount of money that they have previously. In fact, Market Watch explains in an article published just 3 days ago that Russia's economic downturn as a result of their crediting failure is said to be a 10% total contraction of the Russian economy over the next year. So clearly here, these brands pull a lot more than either these banks or the oil failures, because not only is Russia's economy doomed, but they have no way to bail themselves out. So thinking back to the plight of being a Mets fan, it's quite clear that you just have to expect the unexpected. And President Putin should do the exact same thing. Because even though he believed that his military incursion in Ukraine would be a quick and painless effort, it has proved to be anything but, especially economically. So once again, we have to recognize that Russia's economy is doomed for the 3 Bs: banks, barrels, and brands. Thank you. All right, thank you so much. Have a good one.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kush Narang. I'm your second speaker. I've just placed my question in the chat. So once everyone's ready, I'm happy to get started. Okay, everyone good?
The great Russian writer Leo Tolstoy once said, "The two best warriors are patience and time." This appears to perfectly summarize how the conflict between Russia and Ukraine is going on right now. A war that many people thought would be decided in just a few days is almost extended into its second month, and it's going to become one of the most consequential moves of foreign policy in the history of this century. As the Washington Post explains just today, while there's been a lot of suffering in Ukraine, there's also been a considerable amount of suffering for the Russian people. The people of Russia are being surveilled more aggressively than ever. And at the same time, they're facing economic burdens like people in Ukraine. When we're considering Russia's citizens, we must remember that includes everyone in the country, ranging from the everyday person to members of the military to even the oligarchs who are working right alongside Putin. So with this in mind, we must ask ourselves today's question: will Russia's citizens eventually turn on President Putin? The answer is regrettably no, because Russia's citizens are going to maintain a strong and overwhelming allegiance to President Putin. More specifically, first, because oligarchs still have access to their money. Second, because aggressive counterintelligence campaigns make it impossible to plan a revolt. And third, and perhaps most importantly, because propaganda has made Putin more popular in the eyes of the everyday Russian people. One of the biggest problems that Russia is facing right now is that oligarchs maintain an overwhelming allegiance to Putin. And unfortunately, that's going to remain true in the future, explaining the first major reason why Russia's citizens and oligarchs will not turn on Putin, simply because these oligarchs still have access to their money. As The Atlantic explains on March 9th of this year, ostensibly, the idea behind sanctions targeting oligarchs is that if we can take their money away from them, we'll be able to convince them to turn against Putin. But Putin realizes that this is the West's main strategy, especially after we did the exact same thing in 2008 and 2014 after the Crimea and Georgia invasions. So for the last decade, Putin has been helping his oligarchs create offshore networks of trusts and ghost companies, as well as shell companies that prevent their money from being tracked. And that's why Russian money exists in every European country and in the vast majority of American banks. In fact, NBC News explains on March 13th of this year that nearly 60% of oligarchs' assets, or $1 trillion, are stored offshore in places that cannot be tracked. Oligarchs still have access to all this money, and it means that they don't have a real incentive to try to push Putin out of power. But moreover, there has been no incentive from the West to crack down on these laws, primarily because politicians in the West also benefit from sketchy financial operations. Moreover, Quartz explains on March 22nd of this year that 40% of money that should theoretically be stuck in Russia is actually also usable. Certain countries like Turkey and China are allowing Russian oligarchs to take money outside of Russian banks, once again allowing them to hide it in the international banking system, meaning that as long as oligarchs continue to have their assets, there will be no incentive to pressure Putin. However, another important reason why the people of Russia will not turn against Putin is because intelligence services and counterintelligence campaigns make it impossible to effectively plan a revolt. The Foreign Policy magazine explains on March 23rd of this year that Putin brought up his power in Russia when he started as a KGB agent. And it turns out that he has not forgotten those lessons that he learned early in his career. He has created the most aggressive counterintelligence network in the history of the world, more aggressive than the ones in East Germany and Soviet Russia. This counterintelligence network includes a variety of things, including thousands of small divisions in the military ready to pounce on any soldiers who show a lack of loyalty. Every soldier is regularly tested for loyalty, and other factors are at play, such as not just having one central intelligence agency, but instead having more than 20 agencies that are responsible for surveillance and intelligence. The idea behind this is that all of these intelligence agencies are able to watch over each other, such that none of them can step out of line. As the Washington Post explains on March 10th of this year, the only way that a real revolt would be capable in Russia would be if it is led by the military and has buy-in from multiple of these surveillance organizations. The problem is that because of aggressive surveillance, these organizations will instantly report each other if they see any suspicion of a lack of loyalty. That means that a military-led coup is impossible. And because the military remains loyal to Putin, they'll easily be able to stamp out any civilian-led protests, thereby keeping Putin in power. But the third, and perhaps most important reason why Putin will not lose his power is because the people of Russia actually have more loyalty to Putin now than they did before the invasion. According to the International Center for Security and Defense, in an article from November 16th of 2017, this is not the first time the Russian people have seen the economic impacts of sanctions. The purchasing power of the Russian dollar dropped by 80% and 70% respectively after the 2008 and 2014 sanction campaigns. And as NBC News explains on March 13th of this year, this time the purchasing power of Russian currency has only dropped by around 30%. This is something that people in Russia have grown accustomed to, and it means that they're not going to push back against Putin. In fact, let's take a look at the numbers. Even before this invasion of Ukraine, 25% of Russians lived under the poverty line, and 75% of Russians barely had enough money for everyday essentials. People in Russia are used to a bad economy under Putin, and they're okay with it. In fact, what Forbes explains on March 10th of this year is that after so many years of sustained sanction campaigns against Russia, the propaganda has finally broken the Russian people. The vast majority of Russians, nearly 80% of the public, believes that the sanctions have been placed against Russia to hurt them as the people of Russia, and that they are an attempt to push Putin out of power. Because of this, Putin's approval rating has actually gone up roughly 25% since the start of the invasion, reflecting similar trends seen in 2014 and 2008. So now, as we come back to today's question, which is, will Russia's citizens eventually turn on President Putin? The answer is regrettably no, because Russia's citizens will maintain a greater allegiance. More specifically, first, because oligarchs still have their money. Second, because counterintelligence makes revolts impossible. And third, because propaganda has convinced the people that Putin is the best way forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much for judging, everyone. Have a good day.
Hello there. I should be your third speaker for today. Anand Folowali, is that what you all have? Perfect. And I can type my question into the chat. If there is an audience watching this from the live stream, my question is, has the war in Ukraine weakened President Putin's grip on power in Russia? For transparency's sake, this is the legal pad I use to take notes. I'm going to set that aside. And then in case there are any latency issues, would it be all right if I use my phone to time? Great. All right, well, that's all I had to get out of the way. So if I could just get a thumbs up from all of my judges when you're ready, that would be great. This war is hurting us more than it's hurting them. Those were the interesting words of Russian President Vladimir Putin in a recent interview with the Russian state media. Because in his mind, if you invade another country with over 200,000 troops without any international support, clearly you're the victim. In other news, President Putin also recently decided to punch a man before complaining that actually he was the loser of the fight because his hand hurt. Vladimir Putin's blissfully unaware comments aside, the fact remains that Russia's invasion of Ukraine was unprecedented. And that's why Jonathan Masters, an expert on Russian-American affairs, pointed out in an article from the Council on Foreign Relations on April 1st of this year, that right now, many people are focused on the situation between Russia and Ukraine and the sheer scale of Russia's 200,000 plus person invasion. But while many people are preoccupied with how it will affect Russia's standing, both globally and preconceptions of Ukraine, very few people have assessed how it'll impact Vladimir Putin's own domestic politics. And considering that this was the largest mass mobilization of troops on the European continent since World War II, it is vital to understand how people are perceiving it domestically by asking today's question. Has the war in Ukraine weakened President Putin's grip on power in Russia? And the answer is absolutely, because it's further alienated President Putin while limiting his political and economic power. First, by mobilizing Vladimir Putin's political opponents. Second, by decreasing his financial wherewithal. And finally, by straining Russia's security and military resources. The fact remains that Russia has historically had a large intolerance to dissidents in the country, but even President Vladimir Putin recognizes its limits. And the first reason why the war in Ukraine has weakened President Putin's grip on power in the country is because it's mobilized Vladimir Putin's political opponents. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, a think tank based in Washington, D.C., pointed out in an article from March 30th of this year that since 2019, Vladimir Putin has been facing an unprecedented and growing level of political opposition. Spearheaded by Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, this political movement has grown in both size and magnitude over the past few years, largely predicated on the argument that Vladimir Putin has way too much political power and that the Russian citizens need to take back what is rightfully theirs. And the fact remains that this belief was only recently edified by Vladimir Putin's unilateral invasion of Ukraine, which is why Angus Berwick, a professor of political science, pointed out in an interview from April 22nd of this year that Vladimir Putin, or rather Alexei Navalny's own political legal defense fund, financed through the cryptocurrency app of Binance, recently raised a historic $27 million, a clear indication that Russian dissidents are more mobilized than ever before. But the proof is in the pudding, or perhaps more aptly in the case of Russia, the proof is in the Putin. Because as Harvard professor Erica Chenoweth concluded in an article from March 13th of this year, there have been protests in over 60 major cities all across Russia, with quite literally tens of thousands of people, particularly the youth, taking to the streets. This shows that Vladimir Putin's grip on power in Russia is increasingly slackening. As the opposition movement becomes increasingly galvanized and youth enter into the political fray, Vladimir Putin is starting to notice a generational disconnect. That means his time in office may be limited. Right now, the Russian ruble is currently worth less than the fictional currency, the Robot, the in-game currency of Roblox. And that should probably tell you all you need to know about Russia's economic situation. So the second reason why the war in Ukraine has weakened President Putin's grip on power is because it's limited his financial wherewithal. According to a report published by Virginia Commonwealth University's Political Science Department on March 15th of this year, in the wake of Russia's unprecedented invasion of Ukraine, large powers like Germany, the United Kingdom, and the United States decided to apply economic sanctions onto the country, economically isolating Russia from the rest of the world. And as a result, real economic output in Russia decreased by over 30%. In more palpable terms, an article by PBS noted in an article from 2 days ago, that's meant that over 200,000 people in Russia's city of Moscow have lost their job. And large Russian automobile manufacturer Autovos recently announced they would be shutting down several key manufacturing plants, decreasing the overall economic opportunity and mobility in the country. And that's directly limited Vladimir Putin's power, which is why the think tank, the Council on Foreign Relations, concluded in an article from April 1st of this year that ultimately, in the wake of these economic crises, Vladimir Putin has less financial spending and thus cannot be able to steer the country in the same direction he wants, as he has to underinvest in certain institutions he no longer can spend the same amount on. Furthermore, Russia's economic collapse and stagnation has alienated Vladimir Putin from the business community, which means that many oligarchs that were once happy to financially support Putin no longer do. This means that Vladimir Putin no longer has the economic might or fortitude to be able to steer Russia in the direction he wants, directly reducing his power. But the third and final reason why the war in Ukraine has weakened President Putin's grip on Ukraine is because of the fact that it's strained Russia's security resources. Stinjan Mitzer, a Russian security analyst, noted in an article from April 3rd of this year that because of the fact that the war in Ukraine took up an immense amount of Russian military resources, they lost a lot. And between the beginning of the invasion to today, it's estimated that Russia lost over 2,000 separate items of tanks, anti-tank armaments, Javelin missiles, and more, roughly equivalent to over $10 billion worth of military equipment. And that profoundly decreases Vladimir Putin's power. The Times of London explained in an article from April 12th of this year that, for one thing, it means that Vladimir Putin no longer has the same security resources he once had to invest in himself and his personal protection in the country. But perhaps more importantly, it's alienated Vladimir Putin from the security establishment as Russia, as many people believe that he wasted key resources. Already, 155 high-ranking officials of Russia's top security arm, the FSB, recently announced that they would be stepping down, a clear indication that there is a growing rift between Putin and his own security establishment. I'm not here to suggest that Vladimir Putin isn't going to become the president of Russia in the future, but I am here to suggest that his power is decreasing. And when we return to today's question, has the war in Ukraine weakened President Putin's grip on power in Russia? The answer is unequivocally yes, because it's alienated him and decreased his political and economic might. First, by mobilizing his political opponents. Second, by limiting his financial strength. And finally, by straining Russia's security resources. The fact remains that Vladimir Putin is facing an unprecedented crisis. And for the rest of the international community, where there are millions of innocent Ukrainian refugees, all we can do is hold our breath and watch in terror. Thank you all so much, and I hope you all have a great day.
Good afternoon. Can all my judges see and hear me okay? Perfect. I will put my question in the chat. And then judges, take your time, but let me know when everyone is ready. All right, I'm seeing thumbs up. I will start my timer on my first word. When a person is drowning, you throw them a life preserver. But right now, millions have seemed to lost all hope until they too were given a lifeline. As the UN High Commission for Refugees published just yesterday, over 5 million Ukrainians have had to flee their homes because of the conflict with Russia, and they have fled over land borders because those are the most accessible in a war-torn country into neighboring countries. Now, Europe has rushed to respond, and one thing they had to address was what is even seen as a success in a situation like this? And the answer is simple: accommodation for the refugees for as long as it may take. But with that, millions of people all across the world must ask today's question: will Europe succeed with its response to the Ukrainian refugee crisis? And the answer, perhaps upliftingly, is yes, because a more welcoming Europe will be able to manage this crisis for the following 3 reasons. First, because countries are opening their arms to Ukrainian refugees. Second, because the EU has granted more legal protection for these refugees. And finally, because countries seem to be willing to pay to support these refugees in the coming months and maybe even years. While simply letting the refugees into the country seems like an incredibly low bar, it was actually the first benchmark in this crisis. And so the first reason that Europe will succeed in this response to the refugee crisis is because countries are letting in refugees. As the BBC wrote on April 23rd of 2022, as people flood out of Ukraine, they are entering the neighboring countries, and the numbers are staggering. Poland has taken in some 3 million people, Romania another 800,000, Hungary 500,000 more, and Moldova and Slovakia each have taken in the hundreds of thousands of refugees. Now, the fact that they have even been granted access to the country was certainly not always a given, because as Dina Zara, writer for ABC, found on March 8th of 2022, Europe was already dealing with a refugee crisis, one that started in 2015 with Syrian and Middle Eastern refugees. But the response there was very different. Many were shunned, turned away at borders, or led into overcrowded and underfunded refugee camps. Now, while that treatment was and still is horrifying, the fact that Ukrainian refugees have been allowed in with almost welcoming arms shows a lot about how this time around, the European response might just succeed. Because if this first benchmark was failed, there was certainly no chance for a successful response to the crisis. So sure, the refugees are allowed into the country, but now what? Luckily, here too, and the second reason why the European response will succeed this time around is because the EU has granted legal protections for the migrants. As the German news source DW found in March of 2022, the EU has implemented something called the Temporary Protection Directive, which was actually developed decades ago, but is now being put into place for the first time. It waives lengthy national asylum-seeking procedures for Ukrainian refugees. Refugees can apply for protection in any EU member state, and once they do so, they can be offered temporary residency permits and perhaps even access to employment opportunities and social welfare. And although this is only going to last 1 year, 2-year extensions are available. As the New York Times further writes on March 2nd of 2022, as long as this plan is followed by member nations, there is a very good chance that Europe can succeed this time around. Because not only with these legal protections that were never afforded to past refugees, such as the Syrian refugees, these Ukrainians might not be able to just survive, they could even thrive with access to things like welfare and employment opportunities. The framework is here for a success for Europe this time around with Ukrainian refugees. But nothing in life is truly free, and these refugees with little to no assets certainly can't be expected to pay. But the final reason why we can see a success on the horizon for Europe's response to this crisis is that countries seem willing to spend. As the Washington Post writes in March of 2022, unfortunately, resettling these refugees is a very expensive process. After all those benefits we just witnessed come at a cost. But luckily, the countries seem prepared to pay. Because if this wasn't the case and the refugees didn't get adequate support, right there we could say the response is indefinitely going to fail. But the European Union has already promised $500 million in humanitarian assistance for the refugees. And that is just a starting point, with individual countries also likely to spend their own money to be able to resettle and protect these refugees. As Politico also explained on March 2nd of 2022, especially in a pandemic-battered Europe, this wasn't a certainty, but in fact, some countries are even looking to the refugees as a source of revenue and economic activity in the coming years. We don't know what the post-war situation in Ukraine will be. Perhaps the devastation will be too much, and these refugees won't be able to return home for an indefinite amount of time. And with those work permits, though, they can provide a great source of employment in these new countries. And so clearly that could help temper some costs. But even without that proposal, we have seen countries are willing to open up their pocketbooks for these refugees. While a perfect storm of factors has come together to harm these refugees, take away whatever they had in their own countries, we have seen there might be light at the end of the tunnel. And so when we answer today's question of, will Europe succeed in its response to the Ukrainian refugee crisis? The answer was yes. First, because countries are opening their arms to refugees. Second, because the EU has granted more legal protections. And finally, because countries are willing to spend a lot to get this right. While these Ukrainians have gone through unimaginable hardships, it is perhaps uplifting to see that their neighbors are there, ready to take them in and try to get them back on their feet, however long it may take. Thank you all for judging. Have a great rest of your day.
Hi, I'm Michelle. Would you like me to put my question in the chat? Okay, sounds good. All right, I've put my question in the chat. And is it okay if I tie myself on the side? Okay, awesome. Just let me know whenever you guys are all ready to go. Okay, awesome. Everyone good? Perfect. In 2019, Russia voted the Disney movie Frozen 2 as its top favorite movie in the country. But unlike Elsa in the movie, who's able to relinquish her magical powers for the greater good, when it comes to his grasp on power, Russian President Vladimir Putin just can't seem to let it go. And unfortunately, according to The Hill on April 22nd of 2022, his continuous grasp on power has resulted in what Vladimir Putin called a special military operation on February 21st of 2022 being announced into Ukraine. Yet unfortunately, the OHCHR explains to us further on April 17th of 2022 that this special military operation has resulted in the deaths of over 1,417 individuals in Ukraine. And it has also indicated to us the volatility and the strength of different political alliances around the world, whether it's Western democracies forming NATO to go against Russia, or it's also the fact that the relationship between Russia and China. Yet considering that in order to actually save those from Ukraine who have been fleeing from the country, it's critical to understand the political backings of this situation. It becomes imperative for us to ask ourselves today's question: how will the war in Ukraine reshape global politics? And the answer is that it's going to add new dimensions to our understanding of politics. More specifically, first, by revealing the volatility of authoritarian alliances. Second, by showing the link of food prices to the general situation in Russia. And finally, by showing the efficacy of global human rights. The first way that we can look at how the war in Ukraine is going to reshape global politics is by looking at the volatility of authoritarian alliances. More specifically, UC Riverside explains to us on March 23rd of 2022 that many believe that even throughout this war, authoritarian powers like Russia and China would continue to stay very closely linked with one another, sticking by each other every side of the way. However, there are also other theorists who believe that given the school of realism, or the idea that in international relations, a country is always going to serve its own country first as its selfish needs, that this wouldn't actually happen. And this latter has actually been supported by the situation that we've seen in the war in Ukraine. More specifically, Responsible Statecraft explains to us on April 4th of 2022 that even while China on the outside is still walking a tightrope between their relations with Russia and the West, internally, they've started to reduce a lot of engagement with Russia. For example, by refusing to sell aircrafts to Russian airlines, and also by doubling down on transactions in natural gas with regards to Russia. What this indicates is that it adds a new dimension to our understanding of global politics, specifically in the sense that authoritarian nations, despite linking together in order to go against democracy, at the end of the day, when it comes to global conflicts, they're going to separate and go their own way by following this idea of realism to actually support their own nation. And that's exactly what we've seen with China and Russia. And what it indicates is a new dimension to this idea that these authoritarian relationships are largely volatile. Now, the second thing that we can glean from the war in Russia about its reshaping of global politics is by seeing how there's a direct link between food prices and political stability in other nations. More specifically, the World Agricultural Estimate explains to us in a monthly report in April of 2022 that the USDA has projected 1 million less tons of wheat exports and grain exports from Ukraine, and much less, especially because Ukraine and Russia are both critical to agricultural economies, providing grains to over 26 different countries around the world. However, given the situation and conflict there, not only has there been a shortage of supply, but also increases in food prices, which have directly impacted political stability in other nations. More specifically, CSIS researcher Caitlin Rath explains to us on April 15th of 2022 that, for example, in Peru, who largely depends on imports of grain from Russia and Ukraine, have seen increased protests because of increased food prices, which the president of Peru, Pedro Castillo, has had much trouble dealing with. On the other side of the world in Egypt, the government is desperately attempting to scramble together different sources of grain because of the shortage and the increase in food prices as well. This adds a new dimension to our understanding of global conflicts, in the sense that a nation doesn't need to be directly involved in the conflict to have a direct impact on the human population in their very country. And while there's not really a direct link between the war in Ukraine and the situation, for example, in Peru, there is one chain of events that shows that with the situation and conflict and war in Ukraine, that directly results in an increase in food prices, which then impacts Peru and their ability to apply political legitimacy and stability in their country. In this way, this has added a new dimension in our understanding about the different factors that directly and indirectly impact global politics. But the third and final factor that shows how the war in Ukraine has reshaped global politics is by understanding the efficacy of global human rights aid. Now, according to a report by the United Nations just a couple of weeks ago, they indicated that over 7.2 million refugees have fled from Ukraine, seeking refuge in neighboring refugee camps provided by the United Nations. Now, in the past, the United Nations has gotten much criticism regarding the slowness of their ability to actually amp up these kinds of refugee camps. But this conflict has revealed that global human aid not only has no political borders, but also can be provided incredibly fast. This can be further explained through a specific United Nations initiative from UNICEF USA, when they explained to us in a press report in April 23rd of 2022, that they've set up over 16 different Blue Dot centers, or mini refugee camps with children play structures and mental health facilities around neighboring nations like in Moldova and Romania. What this indicates to us is that these kinds of global human rights aid, although before have had trouble being ramped up in many different nations and conflicts, can actually be implemented very fast. In fact, they have no borders with politics at all, but are merely there for the goal of saving humans and people impacted by war. So in this way, the war in Ukraine has added a dimension to our understanding of global politics in the sense that these kinds of human rights agencies have no line of politics at all. So today, when coming back to the question, how will the war in Ukraine reshape global politics? The answer is that they're going to add new dimensions to our understanding. First, by revealing the volatility of authoritarian alliances. Second, by linking food prices to political stability abroad. And finally, by showing the efficacy of global human rights aid. And so it's clear that until Putin can learn from Elsa and actually let it go when it comes to his power, the conflict in Ukraine is not sure to ever end. All right, thank you so much. I had a time of 7:13. Have a great day, thank you.
Hi, my name's McKinley Palcic. I should be your final speaker for this round. Would you like me to put my question into the chat? All right. Are Western sanctions against Russia succeeding? You should be able to see that. Can everyone see okay? Perfect. All right, and then just for transparency's sake, this is my flow. I'm gonna put it behind me where I can't see it while I'm speaking. And then I'm good to time myself if that works for all of my judges. I know with the lag, sometimes the time signals get a little confusing. All right, well, I'm ready whenever you all are. Good? Perfect. The slogan of the Washington Post is that democracy dies in darkness. But in the case of Ukraine, democracy died while the entire international community watched with a spotlight and did nothing until now. As explained by the Washington Post on April 14th, 2022, the international community, led by Western nations like the United Kingdom, the United States, and the European Union, have started imposing sanctions against Russian oil, banking, and exports. Initially, these sanctions helped stop Russian oil, gas, and other aspects of its economy from growing, causing their currency, the ruble, to decrease in value by 22%. But today, as the BBC explains just recently, that ruble has recovered almost fully since sanctions from the Western community first started, causing many to wonder why and how these sanctions can be improved. So considering that 48,000 people have died in the Russian invasion of Ukraine so far, but also because it is the moral responsibility of the international community to stop more needless deaths from occurring in this conflict, it becomes imperative that we ask today's question: are Western sanctions against Russia succeeding? The answer is obviously not, because international cooperation is non-existent. And we can see why in three main ways. First, because of the international substitutes that exist for SWIFT. Second, because Russian allies continue to buy their exports. And third and finally, because the European Union is sidestepping oil sanctions. First, historically, oligarchs in Russia have been the ones calling the shots. Last time Russia invaded Ukraine, they lost their caviar and their yachts, which was nothing compared to gaining a whole new section of their country. But this is the first reason that Western sanctions against Russia are not working this time either, because of the international substitutes that exist for SWIFT. As explained by Time magazine on April 15th, 2022, in conjunction with Foreign Policy magazine on the same day, SWIFT is a major telecommunication system that essentially allows any country to rapidly transmit currency in order to pay or sell any type of import or export. Essentially, this is essential to a government continuing, and the international community and Western countries banned Russia from SWIFT at the beginning of this month. That was supposed to result in a 5% contraction in their GDP by the end of this year, because Russia cannot possibly fund an invasion of Ukraine when they can't buy or sell anything. That would have been the case if it wasn't for China. As explained by the Center for Strategic and International Studies just yesterday, China has their own version of SWIFT, a telecommunications banking program that also allows their country and others to transport funds to other nations in order to pay for imports and exports. 5 of 7 Russian major banks have switched towards this Chinese version of telecommunications, meaning that primarily, as the Council on Foreign Relations predicts on April 1st, 2022, now Russia will face none of the economic consequences that SWIFT was supposed to provide the international community. But more importantly, it means that no matter what sanctions the West puts on Russia in order to ban them from using SWIFT or something else, China will always be there to prop them up and continue funding the Russian invasion of Ukraine. But second, perhaps one of the most egregious attacks Russia has committed in Ukraine so far has been bombing refugee corridors out of Ukraine into neighboring nations, killing thousands. The international community has yet to do anything about it, which is the second reason that a lack of international cooperation means Western sanctions aren't working, because Russian allies continue to buy their exports. Deutsche Welle, a German newspaper, explains on April 21st, 2022, that Russia's $28 billion military export sector of their economy is perhaps the lifeblood of their manufacturing system, which is why the United States and the United Kingdom opposed a serious sanction upon these goods. But members of nations in Southeast Asia continue to buy them despite the sanctions. That's explained this time by Foreign Policy magazine on April 1st, 2022. The article explains that at the beginning of this month, the Philippines bought 19 helicopters from Russia, and Myanmar, which is currently controlled by a military dictatorship, just reaffirmed its $27 million defense contract with the country. This means that first, no matter how serious of sanctions the international community imposes upon Russian military goods, they're going to be able to continue selling them to regions in Southeast Asia. And that means that the same weapons that are used in Myanmar to execute innocent civilians will be funding Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the execution of civilians there as well. But third and finally, the European Union has been one of the most vocal advocates of these sanctions, and yet they're also the ones gaining the most from sidestepping them. That's the third and final reason that international cooperation is forcing Western sanctions against Russia to fail, because the European Union is sidestepping oil sanctions. The New York Times explained on April 15th, 2022, that oil exports in Russia make up 40% of the nation's federal budget, which means that without oil exports, they cannot function as a government, let alone launch a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. But the European Union, which buys the majority of Russian oil, was supposed to ban and sanction this as well. That's not what they're doing, though. As explained by the Council on Foreign Relations on April 12th, 2022, the European Union said that it would stop buying Russian oil and gas in 2027. It's a little bit late, if you ask me, which means that, first, going forward, they will continue sending Russia $1 billion every day as a payment for this oil and gas, propping up the Russian regime and sidestepping international sanctions. And that means that for 4-year-old Anton, a Ukrainian refugee who just fled his hometown, the same missiles that destroyed his home will continue to be bought and paid for by the European Union. So, upon returning to today's question, are Western sanctions against Russia succeeding? The answer is obviously no, because a lack of international cooperation has prevented them from doing so. And we saw why in 3 main ways. First, because of international substitutes that exist for SWIFT. Second, because Russian allies continue buying their exports. And third and finally, because the European Union is sidestepping oil sanctions. So, while democracy may die in darkness, it will continue dying in Ukraine until the international community cooperates to enforce sanctions against Russia. Thank you all so much for judging. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. Both my computers were not connecting, so I've been watching all these on my phone. But thanks for a great round. That was really incredible. So thank you all very much.